going into that one game, I had my mom there and I had my boyfriend there, and I came back to my boyfriend. I was like, I'm gonna bowl like shit this game. Puts all that pressure on me when I bowl.
Yeah.
But everybody feels that though. So
But that doesn't make it any less real.
yeah, no, it doesn't make it less real.
So tell me about that. So in your post you kind of talk about barriers. You kind of talk about yourself being in the way of your own productivity and your own capacity. But for you, have you been able to quantify the barriers or even define what it is that's kind of holding you back? Like, do you know what the things are that you're working on are?
Yes, it's all
What
up here.
So like more specifically though, like what is because for is it distractions? Is it like things that in the moment, right? If you're bowling a 8 game qualifying block and you're just distracted, it's just taking away from what you're trying to do in that moment. So you've got that potential option, or is it negative self talk, or like what is the actual things that you're trying to work on that is in your mental game?
Okay, so um, if we go back to prior my
Mm-hmm.
issues with my mental head,
Yeah.
everybody has bad seasons. It's
Mm-hmm.
normal. Like, I had one year where I was bowling really well. I won major, and then next year I, didn't make any show. So it happens. That's bowling. You're not gonna always make the show
Mm-hmm.
unless you're Liz Johnson. But
That's true.
but like I actually reached out recently, well, like a few months ago, I reached out to Jason Bamonte because
Mm.
one of the recent years he didn't win a single title.
Yep.
And for the world, it's like, oh my God, how did Jason Bamonte not win any title,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
When he was averaging of winning like, I don't know, 4 or 5 titles a year.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody saw that season. It was like, oh my God, what happened to Belmo? And then, of course, next year he comes back and he wins Player of the Year, whatever. And so I thought that's what was happening. I just had a bad season. So, I was reaching out for help because
Mm-hmm.
at, at this point I was done with, not winning and making the shows.
Mm-hmm.
So we got on the phone and we talked for a long time, and he helped me a little bit. So it was nice to hear like his perspective, and it happens. Like it really happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then I was still bowling really bad, and I had 3 events in a row on a women's tour this year where I didn't make the cut. Like not a single cut, like 3 events in a row, which
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion, it's unacceptable. Like at my level, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, okay, like something is really happening, and then I started analyzing, okay, what really is happening, and it was the negative self-talk, and I like before this whole issue, like if you ask me before the summer, like, oh, are you gonna win? I'm gonna say yes, of course I'm gonna win. That's why I'm here, right?
Yeah.
I have this confidence and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But then this year, it's like if you ask me if you're gonna win, my answer is no. Like I'm not gonna win because I don't think I can, right?
Mm-hmm.
So something must have happened in my head, and
Mm-hmm.
I decided to get help.
Sure.
And working now with a sports psychologist from back home,
Mm-hmm.
and like she was asking all these questions, so she was just trying to understand what really happened, and she dug really deep, and we realized that in 2020 the women's tour didn't happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they canceled the tour, but a month before that my grandma had passed away,
Okay.
and she was actually the one that raised me when I was younger, so I
Yeah.
lived with her and everything, and I never experienced like a family death before. So
Mm-hmm.
it's something that hit me really hard, and like, and because of the COVID, I couldn't even fly home. I couldn't even go to the funeral, like nothing. And the way she passed away, she was in a hospital, and even like my mom couldn't come see her. So it was
Mm-hmm.
just a really, really bad situation. And
Yeah.
then a few weeks later, they announced that the women's tour is canceled.
Yeah.
So it was like two like major losses,
Mm-hmm.
like within such a short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just kind of went downhill. And then I wasn't like when the tour came back. In January we had the swing, and
Mm-hmm.
I did not bowl very well, and I realized I started talking to myself very negatively.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and that's like with my post that I was saying that I got in my own way, and I have many examples, but one of the recent ones was when we had a tour stop in Arlington a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was in the show, like going into, I don't know, I don't remember now. I think it was 4 games or something, and I was doing really well. And then going into that one game, I had my mom there and I had my boyfriend there, and I came back to my boyfriend. I was like, I'm gonna bowl like shit this game, and I turned around and walked away, and I shot 120
Mm-hmm.
something,
Mm-hmm.
my career lowest game.
Mm-hmm.
So I already told myself
Mm-hmm.
that I'm gonna bowl really bad and I'm not gonna make the show, and of course I missed the show. So that's just like one of the examples of like, you know, I got in my own way.
Yeah. What stirred
So
that thought out of you? What made you think you were going to bowl so bad that game?
it's just this devil sitting on my shoulder and telling me all these bad things. So
Was it like a bad
that's
pair, or was it like cuz you were in the
it,
show, right? So it's like by the numbers compared to the field, you were well above, where everyone else was. But what was the
it
thing?
recently I've been talking very negatively to myself
Mhm.
about
Mhm.
myself, like, oh, like when I need to, have a good game to make the cut or show whatever, I fail. Like that's the one, like I've
Mm.
been, saying like, oh, I'm a failure, like I'm not
Mhm.
good enough and this and that. So it was like, oh, okay, well, here we go again. I have a chance of making the show and I'm about to shoot an awful game and I shot 120. Like
Mhm.
how, so I told myself this is going to happen
Okay.
pretty much. So those are like the negative things that
Yeah.
been happening to me, and
Mhm.
I've done it to myself,
Mhm.
and that's something that me and my psychologist are working on to fix that.
When did you realize it was a problem? How long did it take? Like into the
Well,
season?
in that situation, when I shot 120,
Mhm.
and then I missed the show, and I got in the car and I drove home, and
Yeah.
Verity, she actually was number one
Yep.
seed, and Arlington is only 30 minutes away from home, and I was so frustrated and embarrassed and everything that you could think of, so I went home.
Mhm.
And I wasn't even there to watch my best friend bowl for another title,
Yeah.
right? Because she was the number one seed.
Yep.
So I just secluded myself in this bubble, and that's another thing that I meant when I made
Mhm.
that post.
Mhm.
Don't push other people away, and
Mhm.
and at that point, the girls, they already died. They didn't know what was happening to me, so
Mhm.
they just thought I was just being angry and whatever.
Yeah.
But I hadn't shared what I was going through with them at that time. So then
Right.
after the event, we talked and we cried, and
Mhm.
I shared everything with them. So that's what I mean. Like if you do go through something,
Mhm.
like share with your closer ones because they're always going to be there to help.